Hey, how's it going? Welcome back. In this video, I'm going to be talking about branding. In my opinion, one of the biggest experience and brand elevators at an event is the actual branding itself. How do you want your event to look? How do you want your event to feel? How do you want people to feel when they walk into your event and they become immersed in the environment? I'm sure you've realized throughout your time that the environment that you are in heavily influences your psyche, heavily influences how you're feeling, your mood, your energy. So as an event planner or experienced designer, you have the complete creative control to build these environments and curate these environments that can actually create a really amazing experience for your attendee. And a massive part of that is the branding itself. With that being said, it doesn't have to be that complicated. So up first, I'm actually just gonna walk through some different types of branding that I use at my events. And don't worry, I'll make sure to link all of these in the description below. And you also have access to all of the partners I use to create this branding. The main types of branding that I use at my events are wall graphics, floor graphics, standing banners, directional branding, digital branding, and some sort of photo opportunity branding. Now, there might be a few more that I could mention here, but most of them do actually just fall under these categories. So when I'm approaching an event and I'm trying to come up with what type of branding and what type of environment I want to create, I usually meet up with my graphic designer and start building out a mood board. And I'm actually gonna come over here to my computer and kind of walk through some of the mood boards that we made for an event that's coming up this April. All right, so if you look over here at my computer, you can see this is the Fun Launch Live 2024 Creative Direction Concepts. Basically what a mood board is it's something that kind of captures, like I was saying, it captures the essence of the environment and the type of branding that you want to use at your event. And a good way to do this is to reference other types of branding, other companies and other creative influences out there in the world to kind of shape and mold the experience that you want to create. So as you can see here, this is a financial event. So we have some money, we have some very clean, sleek looking pictures, some palm trees, a lot of Nike, kind of like a modern tech feel that is still pretty clean. That's kind of the vibe that this mood board was capturing. So this is concept number one. Kind of has all the fonts right there. This is concept number two, a lot more vibrant and bright than the last concept. It kind of has the colors, the hex codes, all the headlines. Concept number three, and then we have concept number four down here. I guess it just ends at concept number three. Yeah, so there's three main concepts and then a little bit extra down here. I actually really liked this design. But as you can see, these mood boards are basically just meant to kind of find the essence of the branding that you want to create. And of course, if your graphic designer gets back to you and you don't love the mood board, you can have them make another one. But it's usually pretty easy to iterate and make changes after you get the first version of the mood board back. Then you can really hone in on what you're looking for. For example, I did enjoy that first mood board, but I kind of wanted to see what else the graphic designer could come up with. So I requested to have another mood board made. But for this one, I wanted them to kind of go after a few companies that I believe have done a really good job with branding themselves and creating products that are very attractive to the eye. So up first was Tesla. And this was kind of the branding that our designer came back with that kind of matched the vibe of Tesla. Up next was Apple, and this is what they came back to us with for Apple. I believe this one was going to Apple as well. This is kind of that last design from the first mood board. I said that I liked it. I wanted to see a few more concepts there. I didn't love the lights hanging here. I thought this was okay, but I still just really enjoy this, like the gears. I feel like it's a really cool look. As you can see, these are the mood boards that I use for my events. I definitely don't try to design the branding myself because I know that I'm not a very good graphic designer. Maybe in my first couple events, I was the one that was designing the branding, but it just really wasn't that good. So I like to find somebody who's really good, almost an expert in their own field, and bring them in to help me create the best event possible. Something else I want to show here is another design agency that we work with, and this is kind of a good visualization of how things can change and you iterate and you hone in on exactly what you are looking for with these graphic designers. Because I mean, if you imagine it, you can't really communicate your vision to somebody perfectly clear the first time. You're going to tell them what you want, or maybe you don't even know what you want. You just tell them kind of I keep saying, using the word essence, but that's what it is. You tell them the essence of what you want, how you want the event to feel, what kind of style, what the vibe is, and then they can start making designs and you can just give them feedback and they can keep changing and iterating until they nail it right on the head. So right here, I was having this graphic design company make some standing banners. These are banners that you stand up and they're kind of all around there. I usually use them for directional branding, but they also look kind of good just for aesthetic branding as well. So the first few concepts they submitted back I thought they were okay. I didn't love the text or the fonts. I didn't love, it was kind of like very choppy and segmented. I didn't think it flowed very well, so I left them some comments, and then they came back with a second variation, which was a little bit better. I like this one, but still a little blocky. I don't like it how it's like completely separated from like the white and the darker, like the contrast is a bit jarring. I don't think it flows very well. I feel like there was one that I did really like on this in this batch. This one right here, I thought this was a great banner. This kind of goes along with our vibe. It's weird. It has this weird little chop, this like block up here, which I didn't love, but I thought this was a good banner and I wanted to work with this one. So I let them know that I liked number 4. I gave them some more comments to see what they would do, and they came back with a few more. And then I still, see this like little stare right here. I didn't love that. So they came back with a few more. This one was good. And I believe, so I still didn't love, what they were doing with the picture in the background, or also the logo was a little tilted too. So I didn't love that. Gave them a few more comments, and they come back here and look right there. The picture bleeds up to the top and down to the bottom, which I love. The logo is straight. And this is what I really, really enjoyed. I thought these were good banners. I'll have a few more made, but I was very happy with this style. And along with the mood board that we had made, I can definitely send these to other graphic designers, or just have this same company make different types of branding that match this aesthetic and match this vibe. So I like to just start off with one type of banner, and it's usually standing banners. I like to really hone in on the design that I want, and then I can, design all the other branding to match the vibe of the standing banners that I start with. And this is a really good agency. I'm going to link them into the preferred partner section of this course. It's called Bridgewood Creative, and they actually have a very nice interface. You just come in here and you go to requests. I'm not going to show the request because there's other confidential things in their company in there, but you submit a request and they just come and then they fulfill the request and they upload it here, and you can leave comments. In the past, I've really struggled with going back and forth with graphic designers on email threads, email chains. It's kind of confusing, but these people have a really good clean interface, so I'll make sure to put them in the preferred partners section so that you can reach out and potentially work with them. Something that I briefly mentioned and I want to re-emphasize is to make sure that your branding is consistent. Like I said, I like to start with one specific piece of branding of the event, and that's usually the standing banners. And once that design is made, then I'll go and I'll design the other variations of the branding to match the vibe and the aesthetic and the essence of that branding. And it's really important, at least in my opinion, to have consistent branding at your events. I like to think of everything at an event as flow. You want the process of when your attendee arrives at your event to when they walk through it and they experience it, and when they leave, you want it all to flow. You don't want there to be hardly any friction or any jarring things that will pull them away from the experience. And I think that if you have very chaotic branding that's not very consistent with your brand, or not even consistent with each other, maybe you have one standing banner that's a certain color, certain aesthetic, then you have these big overhead banners that are completely different, a very different vibe, and they're both next to each other or at the same event. I just think it's a little confusing. So at least for my events, I like to keep everything consistent. I think it enhances the experience, and I think it reduces friction, and it lets people fully immerse themselves in the experience. Maybe you disagree, but that's just what I've learned from my experience, and also that's what I've liked at the other events that I have attended. Another thing to mention there is if you're going to be posting on social media at your events, I'd highly recommend that is also consistent with the aesthetic and the vibe that is going to be happening at your event. Because if somebody is seeing your event on social media and then they go and they actually attend the event, I think it's really cool when those things match and they kind of know what to expect, and they're like, oh, I saw this on social media and it looks very familiar. Like this company, they're very in tune with their branding and they're very intentional about it. So I like to keep things consistent on all fronts. The last thing I want to mention in this video is before you get too far into designing all of your branding and making a branding plan, make sure you double check with your venue about their branding guidelines and understanding what type of branding you can use and put up, and also how much that branding will cost to put it up at the specific venue that you're using. Some venues will allow contractors to come in and put branding up for you, but some venues definitely gatekeep it and they say, yo, you have to use our people to put up the branding. You have to go through all of our partners, and it's usually more expensive that way. So just make sure you know exactly what you're getting into, and you should have discussed all of this before you even signed the contract with the venue if you followed the instructions in that video. At one of the first events I planned, I had this vision in my mind of what I wanted the branding to look like, and I was super excited about it. I had all of these concepts made. We paid these designers a lot of money to really execute on the vision, and all of it was wasted because I found out that we could not hang banners from the ceiling, and all of these banners that I had designed were hanging banners. We even went as far as to order the banners before I double checked with the venue to see if I could even hang them, because at all of the events in the past I was able to hang them, but for this specific convention center I was unable to hang banners, and I was so disappointed. I even thought about having the audiovisual team build trussing arches in the convention center so that I could hang these banners, because that was okay, but we just couldn't hang them from the ceiling. But ultimately I had to scrap it. We lost a couple $1,000s, and it was definitely a very difficult lesson learned on my part. But make sure you're checking with your venue and checking with your partner at the venue to confirm all the different types of branding you can use and also what you cannot use. All right, that's all I have for this video. Make sure you go to the description and you check out the branding guide that I linked down there. And also make sure you're checking out the design and the branding partners I have linked in our preferred partners section. These are all the people that I work with for my events, and I've been very pleased with their product, and I think they actually offer some pretty cheap prices compared to some other stuff that I've seen. So if you're looking for design partners or branding partners, I'd consider going and checking them out. And if not, I still think it's worth just having the conversation and adding them to your network just in case you use them in the future. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.